A Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chachadash, double unto the apostles, bishops, elders, a great millstone, and Shalom to brothers and Howards and byways doing the work sincerely and faithfully, continually fighting that good fight of faith, Lord willing. We have found that number to be delivered. All right. So just a quick article coming from Newsbreak, and the headline reads, Trump to deploy National Guard across 19 states in the coming weeks report. All right. So you gotta be in the understanding and in the know to know what's happening. All right. The masses of people out there, they're just looking at Donald Trump as just a guy who's, out of his mind and, just waiting for the 4 years to be up so he can get moved out of there. This is it, man. We on the home stretch. All right. And I'm gonna get into a little bit of this National Guard deployment stuff because it's gonna be kind of interesting. All right. And we all know what's gonna end up happening at the end of the day with this National Guard movement. All right. So let me read a little bit. It says by Carl Gibson, 22 hours ago. It says, member of the U.S. National Guard stand together after U.S. President Donald Trump deployed National Guard in order an increased presence of federal law enforcement to assist the crime prevention in Washington, D.C., U.S., August 16, 2025, Rutherford. Right? Supposed to read a little bit about what's happening here. It says roughly nearly 1,700 National Guard troops will soon be on the streets in nearly two dozen states by the end of the summer, according to the new report. In a Friday article, Fox News reported that President Donald Trump will soon be using his official power to deploy National Guards in 19 states, and in coming weeks, Trump will deploy guardsmen under his presidential Title 32 authority, meaning despite Trump initiating the deployment, guardsmen will still be reporting to state governors and their respective National Guard generals. All right. So, it seems as just a harmless thing that the National Guard is going to be deployed, right, in these 19 states under Title 32. All right. But let's take a look at Title 32 and Title 10 and see what that says, right? Let's go down here. Okay, so I typed in what is the Title 32 National Guard. It says Title 32 is a section of the U.S. Code that governs the National Guards under Title 32 order. National Guard members are on active duty but remain under state control, although their pay and benefits are federally funded. All right. So right now, the governors are the ones that, dictate what these troops do in each state. All right. Let's read on. It says, this statute is typically used for homeland defense missions or responses to natural disasters, requiring approval from the President or the Secretary of Defense for activation by the state governor. All right. So here's just a quick overall view of what control the state has. All right. So basically, they're National Guards, and they're under state control by the governor. Right. So now let's check this out. Title 32 versus Title 10. Title 32 is one of two primary ways a National Guard can be activated. The other is Title 10, under which the National Guard is federally commanded by President of the United States for wartime or for national security missions. All right. So the difference between the two, the governor in Article 32, the governor is going to have control and say so over what these troops do. Now Title 10, it's going to be the president. All right. So there's no doubt that Title 10 will be enacted. because now the president. Give me a second. All right, Slocky, I'm back. All right, so the president is now once shit starts hitting the fan, because what's gonna end up happening is that's when we're gonna start seeing the sedition. All right, these people are gonna start going against these troops, going against the government, and then Title 10, Donald Trump's gonna say, "I had enough. I'm running the show," and that's when they're gonna get full-blown martial law. All right, so Title 32 is what you're gonna see at the outset. Then Title 10 is what you're going to see when all hell starts breaking loose. Okay? So be mindful of that. Be mindful. You're hearing it. We understand it. We know that ultimately there's going to be martial law in this country. And that martial law is going to be headed by the President of the United States under his executive order or executive power. All right? This is 2 Ezra 15 and 14. It says, "Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands." Right? Because these tensions that are rising between the so-called black man and the so-called white man. All right? Everybody else is just extras. All right? This is Jacob and Esau right now. And these are what those tensions are going to start bringing. They're going to start bringing, tensions between the races. As it is written, one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. All right? And I must say it this way, man. Esau is far more ready than Jake will ever be. All right? Because Jake likes to party and bullshit. And now the Lord has put his prophets on the highways and byways, from the head apostles on down, to let you people know this shit's about to get hot and heavy out here. But Jake ain't trying to hear it. Jake don't want nothing to do with it. You got a small handful of Jakes that, kind of into the Illuminati thing, and, have a suspicion that something's going down. But as far as listening to what the Lord's servants are saying, they don't want nothing to do with it. All right, 16. It says, For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." All right, and that sedition is right around the corner. This is why these troops are getting ramped up in 19 states. Right? 19 states, they're going to be extra troops. And as you disperse 1,700 troops in 19 states, right, it's just not going to be enough. So the people, the populace, is going to have the upper hand. And then that's when Donald Trump is going to issue Title 10, right? Now he's going to have control over the military, over the United States government, United States military, to do what? To now start shutting shit down. And that's exactly what he's going to do. All right? It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able." Right? And not just with, martial law, but also with just your regular, unsavory characters, professing that they own certain blocks. Right? But it's all going to ultimately come down to martial law. That's what it's all basically going to come down to. They're going to start shutting shit down. These stores, the ability to use your money, the ability to come and go as you please, that's going to come to a halt. Now, they also have this thing called Project Esther, which, if you know the story of Esther, they dubbed it Esther, in the sense that this government is now going to be as an Esther was to try to save the people, all right, or save the white race, if you will. All right, so let's continue on. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Men shall be afraid. Now, as we talk about the prophecies, right, and as we see certain things happening, especially the time of war that we're coming into, all right, we're seeing the least of the flock draw them out, which was prophesied. We're seeing the kings of the earth, setting their alliances with other kings in the earth, which was prophesied. So you best believe and truly trust that when it says a man shall desire to go into a city and not be able, that's going to happen. When it says there's going to be sedition among men, that's going to happen. Okay? Verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right? So there's not going to be any help from anybody out there in this world when all hell starts breaking loose. All right? I had a lady friend at one point. She had a dream, and in her dream she said that there was a big arena, and as she was walking towards the arena, or being led towards that arena, all she could hear was women screaming and crying, right? And she said it was like a football stadium where you walk underneath the little tunnel and you come out to the open field. She said when she came out to that open field, she said all you saw was women like tied up or linked up, tied up, and men was just coming through and taking them by the dozens. Right? And she was all nervous and all bugged out because she was about to be put up on that stand to be selected. Right? So these are some of the things that are going to be happening around here. It's going to be a lawless society. All right? And a man's not going to have any pity on anybody. Going back to that movie Leave This World Behind, when the neighbors came out, and it was about to be some gunfire. But all that being said, these are the things that have been prophesied. So these things you better take damn serious, because it's gonna happen. All right, let's continue on. This is 2 Ezra 8:50. Let me open it up. It says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that are in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And there's that word pride again. All right? But these miseries are going to be coming. There's, I call them the three stooges. There's Trump, there's Gates, and there's Musk. All right? Now, one would say that there's really no connection between the three. But if you look at the big picture, there's nothing but connection. One is going to be the strong arm, which is Trump. The other is going to be the computer tech guy, if you will, which is Musk. And the other is going to be the individual that can completely, poisons and puts the pestilence out there. All right? These all have one mind, even though we don't see them all together. Now, Trump and Musk were together for a little while, but at the end of the day, it's all strategic. They kind of gave it the appearance of they was at odds. They didn't like each other, but they're still working for the common goal, because the Lord's putting the spirit on them to work that way. All right? So again, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter times shall dwell in the world. Right? So these are the heads and the faces of the beginning of these miseries. Right? 51. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. And this is why here at Great Millstone and our affiliate brothers, it's a very small sanctuary. You know, we're not too concerned. We're not concerned at all with what's going on outside of what the prophecies say. In other words, the worldly shit that people are concerned with. That doesn't concern us. Whether or not, somebody's gonna, have enough money to do something to raise funds to help, Sally Mae to get something done. That's what we're not about. We got a lot of Israelites out there who are consistently and continually, getting involved with worldly matters, especially when it comes to, as they call it, the community. We don't give a damn about no damn community and trying to help people in the community. The community's going to get locked down. And then what you going to do? All right? So bottom line, it's all going to be locked down. Okay? Let's continue on. It's all going to get locked down, man. And you people have no idea. Before I continue, let me go here. Because we mentioned those 19 states that are going to have these troops dispersed to. So now those 19 states are here. And again, these ICE officers, let me read the top. National News. It says, God will allow ICE to focus on arrest, homing. Okay? Leveraging National Guard's manpower, Holman said, will allow ICE officers to focus on finding potentially dangerous migrants for eventual deportation from the U.S. All right? So going back to what we said earlier, there's going to be insurrection. All right? And this whole thing about, they're looking for dangerous individuals, your average everyday protester, that are coming up, they're coming out and holding signs and hell no, we won't go and this, that, and the third. Now you people are going to be thrown in camps. You're going to be thrown in some deportation ring. Because the scripture says they're going to be like madmen, sparing none. Okay? So even though the guise is, to focus on dangerous migrants, once these protesters and all these, these go-getters, if you will, and now mind you, Trump is also putting together legislation for these individuals in particular, speaking against the government, speaking against Israel. All these things are going to find you in a concentration camp. Okay? It says the plan to deploy National Guard troops was announced earlier by the Pentagon. This mission is expected to last at least through mid-November. All right? So again, y'all gonna wake up one morning fucking shocked and amazed at what you're gonna be seeing. All right? And it says here, the troops will deploy to Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming, according to the Defense Department, officials who spoke to News Nation. All right. Now, what do all these states have in common? All these states are Republican-run states. The governors are Republicans. All right. So most Republican states are going to adopt any and everything that Trump says. You see? But there's going to come a point where these other states, the blue states, if you will, they're going to have no choice but to join in. Because as these militias, as these protesters starts to, evolve in each state, they're going to get more angrier. right? And these governors of these so-called blue states are going to have no choice but to enact or deploy the National Guard. All right? So this thing has been strategically set up. And for all you people who don't have a goddamn clue, you're going to find out and you're going to see real soon when this shit starts to go down. Okay? Revelation 12:12 says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." All right? So, in total, time is short. Okay? Time is short no matter how you slice it. For these devils, time is short. For you jakes out here who are bullshitting, time is short. Y'all don't want to get right. And then when it's too late, you're going to want to try to get right. But know with certainty that when we prophesy about these scriptures, all the war and all the nations coming against the nations and all these things that are happening, know truly that when the scriptures clearly tell you what we're reading, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, this is a true and faithful statement right here. Okay? You don't understand how bad it's going to get out here. Between the locking down of food, of water, of medical, attention, just those three alone, okay, can send can send shockwaves and irrational mindsets and a thought process through people's heads, man. Okay? But it's gonna be too late. It's gonna be too late by the time you people try to figure shit out. Because America has never been touched. It's never been touched militarily. And it's never been in a position of the place being unsown to such a degree where people are gonna start taking one another out. As the scriptures say, friends shall fight each other like enemies. There's always been skirmishes, but on such a mass scale, never in history. All right? Those 19 states are going to start that fire. Okay? And then it's going to start spreading. It's going to start germinating to other states. And it's going to be full all-out martial law, total lockdown, total country lockdown. And this is what they want. This is what they want. All right? They're gonna spoon feed you this thing. And you people are gonna fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now, as in the old times, a couple years ago, when you'd have certain skirmishes, certain uprisings of the people, it would last for a week or so. Then after that, everybody would go home. Everything will return back to normal. And this is the what word am I looking for? This is the process of how it's always being done. Right? People got so used to going out, protesting, marching, screaming, going, before their city halls or their state buildings. But believe this time around, there's not going to be any returning back home for a lot of you. They're going to start wiping you out. Just look at that movie, The Gray State. Okay? The Gray State is a precursor to what's to come. Right? It's a precursor to what's to come. 2 Ezra 16. And it says, "And they shall be like madmen, sparing none." And again, the point being driven here is these troops, these National Guard troops that are going to be dispersed in 19 states, all right, it's just the start of what's to come. This is about to get big out here. All right? And we living through it. We gonna live through it. We gonna see it unfold. Don't sleep. Don't sleep thinking that this is just something that's gonna just, pass by and y'all waiting for a couple more years so Trump can get out of there. He himself said, he needs to start a war so he can cancel the elections. You don't think he means that shit? All right? It says they shall be like madmen, right? Sparing none. They ain't gonna give a goddamn who you are, or what title you hold, or who your family is, or how much money you have. Okay? So keep in mind, you people still gotta understand there's still gonna be a collapse of this financial system. The implementation of the MOTB, which is huge. Where you people out there who say, nah, it's not it. It's not what it's talking about. And, that's not going to affect you in any kind of way. Well, we'll find out. Rubber's about to meet that road. We're going to find out. But as it is written, the things that are going on, the things that are happening, that have been prophesied, and the things that we bring out now are the things that are going to be so goddamn heavy on this earth. The transgressions of it are going to be so heavy on this earth that a lot of people are going to drop dead just for fear. Just for the fear of it. I was watching this one dude, he was talking about he had a connection out there in Texas and what they got in store for, the people out there in Texas. And may the Lord watch out for the brethren who are out there. But he was saying that he was scared. And, this dude was pretty solid. He was like, I'm not one to try to, put fear into people, but I'm worried about my pops. Yes, he was, just talking about everything he was thinking about. But it's not going to just be Texas. It's going to be everywhere. All right? So these military troops, that are going to be, dispersed throughout the, 19 states, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the tip of the iceberg. And again, they're going to come in with subtlety, meaning they're going to make it seem like it's, okay, everybody's going to be on their best behavior, but they're going to cause something. All right? Because if one thing Esau's good at is setting up some type of coup and getting his men in place to start busting windows, and and who knows, they may take it to the extreme this time around, start firing guns and weapons in the air, what have you. All right? So all that being said, we got to be on the ready. We who are in the know, the hopeful elect, and us brothers who are with us, we understand that we're coming into a time period that has never been since there was a man put on this planet. We're coming into that time, man. We're at the end of this thing. So Lord willing, I'm gonna see y'all brothers in another one. I'm gonna say shalom.